Hi everyone, and welcome back to Neighbors to Know. I'm your host, Jenn Puhle, and it's a new year. Happy New Year to all of you, and happy new decade, and happy new beginnings. Lots of stuff starting fresh, and we have a very exciting neighbor to share with you today who comes from, shocker, Boston, but like really in Boston this time, no suburbia. She comes right from Boston. And it's taken a while for me to have our neighbor here in the seat because I've been talking to her a lot because she's really taking me out of my comfort zone. And I said I can't really have a conversation that I feel like is authentic and true and open-minded until I can hear more about what what you have to share with us. So the overriding thing of what we're going to be talking today is about your thoughts that are going on in your head and how to actually turn those into reality, which might sound kind of pie in the sky, but it's 2020. I mean, we thought the Jetsons, we'd have hovercrafts and all sorts of cool things at this point. And, truly anything out there is possible. So I invite you to sit back and join us as we talk to our neighbor today and just come with a clear head of, taking what your thoughts are in your head and just kind of putting them to the side for right now and starting fresh and trying to hear things from a perspective that might not be your own and, enjoy the journey. So I'd like to introduce you to our neighbor from Boston today, Jana Scholten.
Hello.
Hi, Jana. I was really hoping that we'd have those Jetson cars, where you just like fly around and then just stop at one point and have
easier.
A robot as your maid. That'd be awesome.
Oh,
no?
yeah, I would love one of those.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
We've talked quite a bit before actually getting to this point. Mm-hmm. And, I'm like, to be honest, I'm like the things that you were sharing with me, I'm like, I can't quite put my finger around as a left brain, right brain kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't want to be inauthentic here and make anything right or wrong, but I truly just am here to understand. So with the new year, even though it's been a while, I think it's perfect timing for us to talk and, share your story and, open up a world to people that they might not be aware of the power that people have. So why don't you start off by telling us a little bit more about yourself for neighbors that live around you who might not know who you are.
Okay. I'm Jana Scholten, and I live in Boston, the Mission Hill area of Boston. And I'm a marketing and events and account management professional. And what else?
What do you do in your fun time?
What I do in my
free time? Not that work isn't fun. But
I do some races. I'm actually pushing myself and doing a Tough Mudder race this year.
Really?
Yeah, it's a very team-oriented obstacle race. And
those are hardcore, no?
A little bit. You got to actually train and do some strength training, and that's not my favorite thing to do. So I'm encouraged. My goal is to do a pull-up this year. maybe more than one pull-up. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I should probably get to the gym with that kind of motivation, which is like a perfect New Year's resolution that a lot of people have. And like, here you're going to do a Tough Mudder. So I'll kick myself up a notch just in inspiration of what you just said. So let's rewind a bit about your story. I heard about your story from a mutual friend of ours, and let's rewind. Go back in time about 20 or so years ago. So you've been athletic your whole life. Maybe not so much the Tough Mudder part. But,
right. I mean, it started out when I was a young girl. I did a hoop shoot contest, and I'm from Iowa. I got 4th in state. It's a free throw contest. My dad encouraged me to do it, and
like basketball.
Basketball, okay. Yeah. So I was good at throwing hoops, free throws, and so that was my encouragement, and my overall love of fitness began there. Yeah.
What's your record of how many? Do you know? How many free throws you could do like in a row?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that. I was only 10. I had to jump quite a bit to get
to get up there.
Doesn't mean I was good in basketball after that, but I was good I was 10.
So that was part of your life, and then you hit a point where you had some physical things going on that threw a monkey wrench into things. You said you had some numbness in your toe.
Yeah, I had numbness in my pinky toe, and then when I had a roommate who was a personal trainer, and she was also a nurse. And when I was lifting weights, I'd get vision blurs, and then I told her about that, and she's like, "That's just not right. You need to go to a doctor." And and they couldn't figure it out for the longest time what it was, my normal doctor. And then I went to a specialist because the doctor couldn't figure it out. And then they said, well, we think you have MS, but we're not sure. So
they would just think that because of were there other things besides the blurry vision?
Yeah, that and the numb toe, the tingliness and things like that. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I woke up and I couldn't feel the right side of my body.
Oh.
That they were like, oh, actually what the doctor said was, oh, great, we can diagnose you now. I was like, that's not great to me.
That's not great. Wow.
And he said I had MS, multiple sclerosis, and I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah, so for people that are like watching or listening now or whatever, I mean, I feel like multiple sclerosis has been out there in the media a lot because of famous people that have had it, but before people go on Wikipedia or whatever right now, scientifically, tech terms, what is multiple sclerosis?
It's essentially a disease of the central nervous system. Mm-hmm. If you can imagine like an electrical cord having some nicks and cuts in it, and obviously that might short circuit. It's the same thing's happening in your body. It's like the messages aren't getting from your brain to certain parts of your body, and it short circuits per se. And you might not have feeling, or you might not, tingliness or numbness or vision blurs or fatigue, or it's just the symptoms vary from person to person, and there's 4 different kinds of MS too. So
is that why when you wake up and you can't feel half your body, is it like a connection that your head isn't telling your body to function, like the messages aren't getting sent?
Yeah, if you were thinking of that electrical cord, it's like just like there's certain parts that are short-circuited throughout, and that the messages aren't getting to the body parts that needs to get to.
So when you woke up and you were numb on which side?
It was my right side.
Your right side.
And I could barely shampoo my hair. I was really freaking out.
So you still shampooed your hair even though?
I had to go to work. I mean,
well, you didn't have to go to work.
Well, I thought I did.
If that happened to me, I'd be like, oh my God, get me in an ambulance. But you still went to work after that?
I'm a farm girl, so I grew up on a farm. So it's like you work no matter what.
I don't even know how you would do that. Wow.
You were
still in Iowa at the time?
No, I was in Chicago, actually.
Okay.
That's my stubborn part of me, yeah. Anyway.
That's a really stubborn part of you, I guess.
Yeah.
Or not accepting, maybe?
I just didn't know what it was. I just thought, well, that's weird. My body will wake up. I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I'll need a shower to wake up. That's, yeah.
How long did it last?
Like a couple days, I think.
Days?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. So how do you function like that? Seriously.
Well, it's like when you wake up, your hand might be numb. It's something like that's like that. It's like you can still move it. It's just it feels weird.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Okay.
So
the doctor decides that it's MS.
Yeah, that's when he was like, okay, we can diagnose you. That's MS, and they did more tests, and they diagnosed me at that point.
How old were you when they diagnosed you?
30, I think.
So I don't know. Is that young? To me, that sounds young.
It's pretty young, yeah. Yeah, I think it's the average age. I'm not sure what the ages are. It's different for women and men. It's different.
Mm-hmm. So you hear this shocking news. What do you do with that?
Cry. You're just really stressed, and I was going through a lot. It was a really high stress point in my life. I was breaking up with my fiance. We were still living together. My mom was really sick. There was a lot of things that were going on in my life. My job wasn't going so great, or at least I didn't like my boss. It was transitions in the company, all kinds of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So that was just another added bonus. Let's put it that way.
So yeah. What is the course that they had you on then after diagnosis?
I'm not sure. Things might have been different back then, but my doctor was like, well, you'll more than likely be disabled in 10 years, and it'll just eventually progress and get worse and worse, and that was just his opinion. Well, according to him, I would have been disabled by now.
Well, I was going to say 10 years, so that it's 2020, so that was 10 years ago.
Right.
And you're clearly not. I mean, you can stand up now. That might mess with the cameras, but you're not.
Right.
Not only are you not, but like we were just talking before about the Tough Mudder thing. You can't really do a Tough Mudder if you're. I mean, maybe you could, but
you probably could. Who knows?
Not at all what you were at the space that you were in.
Right.
So what's the protocol then? Is there a medication? Is it?
I mean, I went on a medication. I did a clinical trial because I felt like that was safe, and I could see doctors a lot because I was really scared, and so I did that for, it was actually a year or so like that. It was so, but yeah, I went on the medication that they prescribed back then.
Mm-hmm. And was it working? Was the medication helping you?
Not really. No. It wasn't really helping. No.
What is it supposed to do? Like,
it's supposed to slow your.
Curable? Is it something that you maintain? I mean, I'm asking totally out of, and this is my vulnerability because I just don't know. I've never. Well, actually, when I was teaching, a student of mine was diagnosed when she was, I believe, 15. I actually should probably check in to see how she's doing. Yeah, she was really young, and
well, it is
I mean,
young.
15 is crazy young, and see how she's doing on a random thought. But and I just lost my train of thought just thinking about her because that's so you're in middle school and you hear that. So
yeah, it's rare, I think.
Yeah. So is it something where they prescribe medication, have a route of whatever sort of therapies they do, and that's how you live, or is it something that you're diagnosed and yes, he tells you you'll be disabled in 10 years? Is there a life expectancy that's shortened because of that?
I mean, they don't really tell you that. I mean, today I don't think. I mean, I think they're much more. I would hope they're much more positive than they were back then. Mm-hmm. There's lots of different things.
So what did it look like for you? Like how did life
I mean,
change
I was
for you?
on a medication for years, and MS was okay for a while. It didn't really bother me that much, and then, I just noticed at times of really high times of stress in my life, it would get worse. The MS, the symptoms would get worse. The flare-ups would get worse, and I just knew I needed to do something different. And yeah, it really wasn't until I just read some books and did some development courses, and when I was looking at myself, realized that I had something to do with it, and that's was like a wake-up call for me. And
what do you mean by you had something to do
just
with it?
realizing that how my thoughts were affecting my body, and my body was reacting to everything, and that the more I either meditated or just looked at who I was being and what I was saying to myself, how that had an impact on my body.
So what were you saying to yourself?
Oh, mostly negative stuff, believe me. The mind is never kind, usually.
I mean, we have to filter somewhat.
I was freaking out about an event that I was having, and just like, oh, you'll never be successful, or you never do it right, or and then my body was reacting to that, and I caused a complete attack of vertigo and spinning. The room was terrible, and once I realized that I was, it was my negative thoughts that were impacting my body, it just created something different that I could live into as a philosophy, and then my body really started to react and heal, and the attack went away like within a couple hours, versus days or weeks or months before it would last. So it's a big shift.
And I feel like that's the part when I first met you and we had that conversation where my math analytical head went one way, and my Peter Pan just have magical thoughts was there, and I'm like, which one outweighs the other? I mean, we live in Boston, a lot of very academic people here,
right.
Not all, but I mean, you have so many hospitals here and so many colleges here, very educated people that are, localized to one area. And I mean, I'll be honest, a lot of skeptics, I think.
Oh, yeah.
In this area.
Oh, definitely.
In particular. I mean, I've lived in New York before in different areas, but I find, a lot of skeptics in this area. So not that I'm blending it with the Joneses that way, but for me to come at it with, I do yoga and I meditate and all those things. And I get the stress part, not with MS, but I get the stress part and the physical. I think most people would get the stress part and physical reactions. Like you have, you're stressed out about, all right, today I'm stressed out because I'm like, do I iron my jacket? Do I not iron my jacket? I didn't iron my jacket.
And it looks fine.
It's the wonder of wearing black. But if I had sat there and been like super worried about, what am I going to look like, I'd be stressed out. So for me, being stressed out, what happens? I'll start to get pimples or something. My heart rate will start to go up. I see the physical effects from stress, and I think most people do. They're more hyped up. You might end up in the bathroom for whatever reasons.
Right.
I can see the connection there between you're stressed out and you have these, these repercussions physically. I mean, I've been to the point where my hair started falling out from, extreme stress. Weight loss, unintentional weight loss, and things like that. But what I was stuck with was, that's from like daily stress, and I feel like people can stop and they can meditate and okay, let's get back in the zone. You're talking about something. MS is. I can't even imagine what that's like to hear a diagnosis that's like that. That's going to potentially affect the rest of, I would think affect the rest of your life. So taking that and then, that's obviously a different stress level than everyday things that go on. So while you could calm yourself down, I think more easily by, okay, I don't care about my clothes right now. I have a run in my stocking right now and whatever. It's all good. Versus my doctor just told me I'll be disabled in 10 years. Like how on earth do you sit there and meditate and have that in the back of your head? That's what he's saying to you, but you're saying, no, these are my thoughts that I'm going to make them into the reality that I want. It sounds like, ooh, that's nice, but here you are. And that's the brunt of this for me that I wanted to share this with everybody from you is like, how did you make that happen for you?
Well, I did some mind-body medicine training, and that really made a difference in helping me realize the different stress reduction techniques I could do, like journaling and gratitude and meditation, and how meditation calms the part of your brain that is the reaction part of your brain.
Oh, okay.
And has you be less reactive. So you might be nicer to your partner or your coworker and to yourself, that kind of thing. So that was a huge impact. But it was really the personal development courses that I did that really had me see how I was being about myself. And that along with just the lifestyle changes that I did and going from meat and potatoes kind of diet to mostly plant-based. And
what's the connection there? Because
certain foods are inflammatory, and so the less inflammation causing foods you eat, then the more it can calm your body down. Essentially, your body can run better, work better, that kind of thing. And I also did a visualization. I learned that from a therapist through the Mind Body Institute, and I visualized just seeing my body like healing, and it actually worked. I shrunk the lesions in my brain, and then most of the symptoms disappeared. And so
over how long of an amount of time with you starting all this?
That's a good question. I would say it was a matter of months really within the visualization, but I mean the diet and lifestyle changes, that took years. I mean, I was pretty wed to my meat and potatoes diet.
I think it would take time for your body to get used to all of that. Like when they told me I had high blood pressure, and I'm like, okay, number-wise I do, but I don't want to be on medication for high blood pressure, and I'm not. Because I've made lifestyle choices. So like for me, food-wise, I eat steak. I'm not vegan. I don't know if I could do that. But anyway, but like low salt stuff, where there's certain things that I'd like to eat, but what's the payoff there? If I eat things that are high in salt, it's only going to make my blood pressure go up. So that kind of direct correlation I can see. But you're talking about your mind and how it's rearranging things with how it's communicating with your body. So like I see you have to like do an entire reboot of your whole body. So like I see the brain part and you're meditating and the visualization, switching over to be vegan, I guess would affect your core, all your your organs functioning in order to digest food differently.
It's easier for your body to digest. I mean, if you look at professional athletes, a lot of them are becoming vegan or plant-based because they could realize they can run more efficiently. Essentially it's easier for your body to digest plants than it is an animal-based diet.
And I think that's important to hear too, because I feel like there's so many like fad diets.
Yeah.
Is it the new cool thing to be vegan? I don't know, and that's why I'm learning even that from you. Like, what is the nuts and bolts as to if I stop eating, meat, this is what's going to end up happening, and why. So I think it's important to share that. Because
right.
I wouldn't know.
It's different for every person. I mean, somebody could change their diet completely, but if they have the mindset, I'm sick, or I suck, what's going to happen is your body is going to react to whatever you're saying to yourself. And that's what I was like, the thoughts really make a difference on your brain and on your body. So if you believe you will be in a wheelchair and you see pictures of people in wheelchairs and every month or something like that, then you will be. If you think that's correlated with the disease you have or the condition you have, then you will manifest that essentially.
So what you're saying is like you had these thoughts of that's not what life is going to look like for me. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is what I'm hearing from you. Like, that's not what my life is going to look like. I don't want that to be what my life looks like.
Right.
Here's what I'm going to do. I mean, you did actions of, you did meditation and the visualization and the change in diet. And I feel like there's something else you mentioned that I'm missing.
Just all the mind-body principles and then being really present to my thoughts and all the things I was putting in my mind and how that affected, it was just really being present to everything I read, everything I was looking at, just kind of TV shows I watched, the organizations I supported or not supported, just looking at what was their mission, that kind of thing. And forgiveness is another one. I mean, I did a lot of self-work and did a lot of forgiveness work.
Forgiving for what?
Like, essentially I had some abuse in my family and forgave the people that, might have been mean to me in the past and just really worked on forgiveness. And that let go of a lot of things that was hanging on like, that I was like stressing my body out, really. Yeah, it was like a sense of relief, just forgiving those people and that
So
kind of
where
thing.
are you now with, you said that you reduced or eliminated lesions that were in your brain by doing all this?
Just...
like, do you go for checkups to see how things are
I haven't
going?
gone in. I mean, I went in in the past year, and essentially the lesions have shrunk. I mean, they're not gone completely. They're like scars in the brain.
Okay.
They're not active anymore. I'm in what you call benign status. That means it's really no longer there. And my neurologist said I don't need to come back.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be comfortable. I mean, but again, that's me coming from a different space.
Well, I don't really experience the disease anymore. I don't have it at all. I have no symptoms whatsoever. And that showed in all the tests that they did. So if a top neurologist in the medical mecca of the United States says you don't need to come back, you're good, and keep doing what you're doing, then...
Well, yeah. What was his thought between about what you were doing? Like, with there's that East medicine versus Western medicine.
Right.
thing.
I mean, he was
he supportive? Was he kind of?
He was supportive. Yeah, he was. He was supportive of physical fitness because there are certain things that you can do physically that actually help the neurological system. Strength training and cardio benefits different parts. And then he was actually a mind-body advocate, which was rare.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the former neurologist I had, he called mind-body medicine quackery. I'm like, well, it's proven by science. He's like, yeah, a bunch of Harvard quacks. I was like, whatever.
I want to put Harvard and quacks usually together.
I know, right? I didn't think that either, but that was his thinking. He was very, narrow, very unlimited, blinders on.
Yeah.
So, but I think Western medicine practitioners are becoming more open-minded and realizing that mind-body medicine, lifestyle medicine, whatever you want to call it. I mean, diet, exercise, meditation, they all make a difference. And psychology makes a huge difference. All of it makes a difference on your body.
So what are your thoughts, so here you are now, what are your thoughts on what's next for you? Since we're in 2020 now, I mean, really, you've changed your thoughts so much from what they were that, like, you can do or be whatever. What do you want to be when you grow up, Jana? What do you want life to look like for you? Yeah.
Well, honestly, I'm looking at starting a podcast of sharing other people's stories as well.
Okay.
Because I think the number one thing that's missing out there for people when they're newly diagnosed is positive stories. Because one thing that you get just from going to your doctor, like, oh, here, take this drug, and then they don't say anything else. So, but I think there's so many people have different things that they've done, and not everybody's story is the same.
Right.
So I just think that's empowering for people to hear. Like when I was, not even first, after a few years, I read like Lance Armstrong's book, It's Not About the Bike. And that wasn't related to my disease at all, but it was about someone who overcame cancer when he wasn't supposed to. It was because it was really a difficult case and all that stuff. And that was like inspirational to me. I was like, wow, well, if he can overcome this really bad cancer, then I could overcome MS. It was just putting that thought in my brain was the start of it. So, yeah.
It's inspiring. And, everyone, like you said, has their own story and what happens. And to see you here now, it's just, and that you're doing this Tough Mudder. You're doing, who knows what, bench pressing 500 or
No, I don't know about that, but.
But I mean that you could put those thoughts in your head and then create a reality that, I mean, look at you, it's an amazing story. And from someone, I think that I'm open-minded, but you don't know. And I'm not saying that like everyone's story is like that. That's not the case for everyone. It was the case for you.
Right.
And it could be the case for other people too. But, the mind over matter, what your thoughts are. Well, you actually said this. So I was talking about kindness rocks, and I always make it looks black, which is funny because it's not, it looked way better after I put Mod Podge on it. Mod Podge on it. But you had said thoughts become things. What you're thinking in your head actually can become a reality. So there's my attempt. So my thought of I can be an artist.
Oh, great.
So those
cool.
are little thought clouds, and that's for you.
Oh, thank you.
That things that you can think of could become real, and I think that's a really important message to bring home.
That's true. Thoughts become things. That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really thank you for coming on today, Jana, and sharing your story. And I hope for everyone that you pull, that power of belief out there. It's okay sometimes with things like you're a 5-year-old that I want to be an astronaut for NASA. You don't have to shut yourself down that those things won't happen because you just don't know. And, keeping your mind open to these different thoughts about whatever you can have as your reality, especially as we're starting a new year. I hope, this episode today empowered you to, start off that way with this new year. Think of, who you're being right now and, where you want that to bring you to. And, realize who you are and who you can be. And it really is limitless, having your mind set in the place that you want it to be. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And we'll see you very soon. And Happy New Year. Bye-bye.